Hello. This is our DBMS project part 2 phase, and we are group 12. Myself, Rakesh, and my teammate Pranita. So I'll just walk you through on what we have implemented for the part 2. So if you can see here, based on part 1, implement the following functionality using the Java and SQL with necessary GUI interface. Part 2 emphasizes the programming of web interfaces and design and their integration with database operations. So firstly, implement a web interface and the functionality so that a client can submit an initial request for a code. So we'll just look into the client interface to submit the initial code. I'll just run this. We have all we've all gone through on how do we work on this about these in the part one phase. So if I just log in as a some user, if I give Angelo 1234, this is the page activity page for the client side, and we can see here go to request page. So this is the request page where the client can place an initial code or initial request. So he gives his username, which is basically associated to the client ID. So username and gmail.com, and tree size I would give probably a small and 10 inch and, and tree height probably 10 inch for an example, and backyard and distance from houses 8 meters, and not uh, cut the tree, just random thing, not no. And we can choose files about uh, the pictures if we have it, if we can upload anything, and we can just submit the request. And we can go to the so we are back to the activity page of the client, and we can go to the list of requests, and we can see that there's a new request that has come and status as new. Cut the tree and small 10 inch backyard and 8 meters. So this is the request that I have been placed. So next would be
So next is our second point is implement a web interface and the functionality so that David Smith can list all the codes and send an initial code to the client as a response to the initial code. So what we do is that here currently we are at client login. So I'll just log out through client and log in as David. So this is David Smith's activity page. Here you can list all the requests to send the initial code, or whenever negotiation happens you can look into this. And when after the finally quote is accepted, there will be order placed, so you can go to list orders and you can list the orders. So first we go to list request. So here you can see that these are some old requests that has been come, and there are now two new requests that is for David. So this is current one that we have newly requested. So what we do is that in this David can just enter the price. Suppose I'm giving some 50, and he'll give a start date whenever he's free. Suppose it's like December 5th, and he'll give end date like it might take 2 days, so 7th. And he'll give some note like it might take some more time also, some note he'll give. And after that, when he clicks on update, this request is updated, so the code is sent to the client. So we'll go to David's home page now. So this is like we have sent the code to the client. Next.
next we have implement a web interface and the functionality so that the client can respond to an initial code that David has sent. So uh, if you see here, David has just sent the code, right? So the status was here initially new and it is changed to code sent as he has updated it. Now let's log out and get back to the client page. This is the client page, and we can see here list your codes. So if you go to list your codes, David Smith has just sent a code, and that is this one with the requirement ID 22, and price is 50, and the start date and end date. And David's note is it might take some more time also, and we have the options for negotiating or accept or reject. Uh, if you go here, if probably we have if uh, the client wants to negotiate, or if he has any notes, he can put it here. Uh, let's just change it. Maybe probably looking for better price, and you would click on negotiate. So it is updated. The status has changed from quote sent to negotiated by client. And if you go back here, um, so yeah, our quote has been changed. The status has been changed. The client has negotiated back to the David Smith about the quote. So let's get back to the David Smith.
So next, now it's like fourth point, implement a web interface and functionality so that David Smith can respond to the response of a client to an initial code. So now I'll log in as David again. So here, if you go to list request, you can see that there is a new quote with as negotiated by client. So here you can see what they have provided a note looking for a better price. So now as a David, I would like to decrease the price so to something like 45, and then I'll put a note that this is the least price I could, and so he can't decrease more. He's just specifying that. And if I click on just update, now again you can see the quote is sent to the client. Now if a client logins, he can see that quote.
So log out. If you go back, 1, 2, 3, 4, to list your code, and I've gotten new code again. Code is sent, and this is the least price I could see, and we can see the value is updated from 50 to 45, and we can accept or reject. Let me just accept and go back to the home pages, and I can see that with the requirement ID 22, a order is being placed with the client ID 3. So client ID for Angelo it is 3, and then the requirement ID that we were working on was 22, and we can see this is the order that is being placed. So even if we go here, we can see the status has changed to quote accepted and order created. And so this is about it. Implement either the agreement or quit of the quote request. I'll just quickly show another. I'll place another order and then show about the rejection. Size small. And relocation backyard. Distance 7. Notice nothing. And submit the request. Yeah, passport. And go to request. This is the new one. I would give $20. Date and date and good luck. And then I update it. go back, log out, uh, log, log, 3, 4, sorry, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, login, go to my codes. So this is the code requirement is 23, code sent, and the price is too less, 20, and there's nothing negotiation, or he just says good luck, so I don't like the offer and reject it. So code rejected and closed. If I go back and look for the orders, I don't have any orders created. And if you go back to the David Smith's web interface, David's password, and list. So we can see that quote is rejected and closed. So
Even like David Smith can list all the orders that has been placed till now to all the users. So it's like client ID, status, request ID, and order ID. And one more thing is that you what we are doing is that whatever the negotiations are happening between David and the client, the latest one is only showing up for us here. So we have like implemented a history table. So in this, you can see here there is a request history table. So whatever is the old conversation happening between the client and the David, we are just storing it in the request history. So in further, if any negotiations happen, we can check in this. So you can see here whatever negotiations happen, like this is negotiated by the client when quote was sent. This was client's negotiation, and it was like some was like David gave the quote. These all things are stored in this history table. And so if we finally go to our project part 2, so these were the 5 points we had to implement in this part, and we are done with all the 5 points.
yeah, that is about it. Thank you.